everyone, friends and family. Welcome back to our channel. It is a Tribe Called Dhillon podcast. I'm Angie Dhillon.
And I'm Rose Dhillon.
And I'm Alvin Dhillon.
Hope you had a great week. We're going to get into our Win of the Week segment. Please think about something amazing that happened in your life this week. Over to you, Rose.
All right. So I discovered, well, I've known it for about a while, but I saw it on a podcast and it was telling people like you should get a genetic testing done, like find out what you're allergic to. Like you might have lactose problems, you might have like issues with some vitamins and there's no point of taking them. And I was like, oh, I should do it. So I went on 23andMe and they had a code and it was $99. So I got my genetic tested. And what the cool part was I didn't realize when I got my genetic test, it told me like my DNA. So I am 78% Punjab, Pakistan region, almost 22% of South India, which we knew.
Yeah.
This is the kicker. Are you ready, guys, for the kicker?
Yeah.
0.3% Eastern European.
What?
0.3.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh.
I was like, okay. And you can see your second cousins, third cousins, fourth cousins. Like Betty Joe is my fourth cousin. Like all these names
Who's
of people.
Betty Joe?
Just some random person
Oh,
on the
okay.
thing. All these people. Like I'm just made that name up. But like
okay.
all these people that I was like, oh,
Really?
wait, really? Yeah. It was
so
really
cool.
cool. Yeah.
Okay, that's cool. I saw that
Yeah.
pop up. I'm thinking about doing that too because I'm just curious to know if all of ours now would line up with the same, right? Like if we have the same percentage.
Yep.
Very cool.
Very cool. I was very excited
Okay,
about
so
that.
if someone wanted to look into this, what's the cost and where do you find out about it?
So
And what is it? What's the website?
It's on 23andMe if you go on their website. Now, when I did it, they had a promo code for $99. I don't know what the actual retail cost is, but that's when I did it. It was on sale. So maybe wait for that sale to come back up. And it also doesn't just give you that. It does give you genetics. Like I am prone to heart disease, which I knew, but everything else I was good. Like I don't have Alzheimer's in my genetics. I don't have it was a laundry list of things that you go through to figure out like I don't have lactose issues. Thank God, because I know Alvin does. So little things like that. It gives you all of that breakdown. You got to go and spend time in figuring out what everyone means. But I got really excited the first day of just finding out, oh my God, I'm 78% this and this. This is interesting.
That's really cool. But now I'm scared in a way to take it because, like you just said with Alzheimer's, I don't know if I want to know if I even have that probability in my gene of that because Alzheimer and dementia runs in from dad's side of the family. So that'd be scary.
So that was what was interesting because they said there's like 0.0003 chance of you getting that. And I was like, oh, considering we have it, maybe we don't. And who knows, like maybe it does get activated by stress because if you think about the people in our family that did get dementia, it was really brought on by a very high level of stress. Yeah.
Right.
So you wonder how much of it is genetic and how much of it is your environment.
I guess we'll know in about 40 years.
Yeah.
We shall.
And then we'll sue them if we do get it.
Yeah, we'll find out if we're doing a podcast still, and if either one of us remember doing a podcast. Right?
There we go.
Okay, that is super cool, Rose.
Yeah.
Now you got me. You got the wheels churning in my mind. Now.
Yeah. Hopefully for the viewers too. It's really cool. It's really neat.
Okay, good stuff. Over to you, Al, for your win.
My win technically could be other people's win too if they follow. So I'm sure, or not most people, but if you go look online, cryptocurrency has been getting like a good run. It's been picking up for the last few years. And I jumped in on it when it was probably like 4 or 5 years ago. I didn't make too much money off it, but if I had put in a good chunk of change, I probably could have pulled some good coin from it. But for anyone that knows about it, if you ever heard of a coin called Dogecoin, it was worth like literally nothing. It had 0.00000, and it within a matter of a couple of years, Elon Musk promoting it, it jumped to like 5-7 cents. And I think it sits around. It peaked to like 80 cents, and it went back to around 15 cents. So now there's another coin called Shiba Inu. And it just came to me like the other day. I've already had those coins from before. I own like 100 million coins. I've been dumping money into it. It's worth nothing right now. But the plan is they're saying it's going to be the next Dogecoin because it's like gambling. For all the rich people out there that put money into penny stocks, it's almost the same thing. But this coin has been added to almost all the platforms. So now you have access to it. So it's on CoinSquare. It's on like every other major exchange. So I thought to myself, if I start raising awareness about it, and I help other people bring attention to it, they will go and start buying that coin and it'll start going up faster and faster. So recently they've burned some coins which raised the value. So if let's say as of today, if you put $500 into it, you'll get almost 35 to 40 million coins.
Okay.
Now, if that goes to 1 cent, which it's projected to go there in the next, let's say 5 years or even sooner, that's worth 40 grand.
Wow.
Now, imagine if that went to 10 cents, that's $400,000 on a $500 gamble, which we dump $500 on collectively on anything throughout the year. You dump it on clothes. You imagine you put that into a coin and just let it sit there. It's like calculated gambling.
Wow.
So now I said, on every podcast, I'm going to say, let's send Shiba Inu to the moon.
There we go. I like that.
Good.
I own some Shiba Inu too.
Yeah.
And it's fun. I was reading in his book when they were talking about the Dogecoin thing. They said he purchased a Shiba Inu dog. I didn't. Yeah.
I had bought Dodge at like 1 cent, and then I had just maybe a few $100s worth. And as it started skyrocketing that day when it went to the peak, I dumped more money into it. And the problem is then it crashed literally 2 days later, and then I just let it sit there.
Yeah.
So, but Shiba Inu to the moon.
Good for you, Al. That's amazing. I too own some Shiba Inu stocks. We all kind of collectively share information when we find out about something.
I own all the cryptocurrencies.
I do too. I have some good ones. I got like Bitcoin. I have Ethereum,
Solana,
Tizo, Solana, Cardano.
Yeah.
There's a bunch.
Yeah, I actually took all my other, like, I call them Kadu coins, the ones I had, and I just like basically said, I'm gonna not worry about these because they're already at like $100, $20. I said, let's just dump it into the one that's worth nothing, because we know that's what everyone's gonna do, is put it into the one that's worth nothing. Let's get it up to a few cents, and then I'm gonna cash out. So 100 million coins.
Good
so
for
basically,
you.
basically in a few years, if you don't see Al in that seat anymore, you'll know why.
Yeah.
I'll be behind the camera telling them what to do.
There's a story, Al, that comes to mind. This may go back, I think, 10 years ago. How long has Bitcoin been around for now?
It's probably 10 years, but in the last, I think, 5 to 7, it started picking up.
I have a quick funny story to share. So I recall Al coming home one day, and I guess a bunch of people at work or something were talking about this Bitcoin, and he was telling me about it, because I do day trading, I do stock trading. So I'm old-fashioned in the sense that I like to see what I'm investing. I have access to that money. It's physical. It's like your money being in a bank account. So this crypto stuff, even though I own cryptocurrency now, I still don't get it. To me, it's like, how are we going to use this? Where? And like, how come I can't quickly access the money? So Al came home and said that, hey, some people are talking about this thing called Bitcoin. And what was it, Al?
They were mining it. So
mining.
They kept telling me, like, they were basically, you help, because it's owned by the people, you just put the app on your computer and you help process the transactions. And then for every certain amount of transactions you process, they give you like a piece of it. So it's called mining it, because you're doing the work and you're mining the Bitcoin. Okay. And eventually, I remember people were getting like hundreds of Bitcoins, and they was like, oh yeah, I just let my computer run all night or for like 24/7, and it mines. And my coworker at the time was saying, oh, it's like $100. You should buy some Bitcoin. And I'm like, I don't believe this stuff, man. Like, this is nonsense stuff. And everyone was on the same level as me when they were thinking, like, this is not real. Like, we're just going to get scammed. So I kept thinking it's a scam. And then a year later, he was like, you should buy some Bitcoin. I have like this much Bitcoin. 5 years later, when we all got laid off from TELUS and we're all leaving, he's like, yeah, I got about 800 grand worth of Bitcoin that he just mined. And he's like, I think I put like $1,000 worth of it into myself by buying it. But it was very hard to buy. It wasn't on an exchange.
Right.
It was
right.
The way, like I had to buy some of these other Safe Moon coins, which is junk. It was very sketchy that you're like, I don't know how I might even get access to this money. Yeah. So it was one of those things where I just didn't believe in it. Yeah. And it was at the same time where I bought a stock called Ballard, and I held on to it for 2 years. It didn't go anywhere, so I dumped it. And then 4 years later, it went up like 10x. I was like, I don't have good luck with this. I'm just like the new generation that just wants instantaneous results.
Yeah. That's excellent. Okay, I was almost not going to have a win this week because I do want to be sometimes keeping it real, and we're not all cheesy every week. Things don't always go the way that we plan or the way we want. You're going to have some like one-off days. But this week I almost had a terrible day or a terrible week. It was turning out that way, but I had to stop and kind of catch myself and say, that's old Ange behavior, trying to find or nitpick with something that's going to go wrong in the week. I have to still find the gratitude in something. So I went into the office on Thursday. I had an extremely long day. I was super exhausted. And I was coming back by transit because it was just to drive into work. It was just going to take too long. And my carpool buddies were not feeling well. I'm like, you know what? I still need to go into the office to do some things. So as I was coming back on transit, I was teaming one of my coworkers on Microsoft Teams. We're having an exchange and all of a sudden my phone just dies, like just goes. And my heart started to beat fast because literally 18 months ago, I had an issue with my phone literally dying on me. I couldn't even get the phone turned on to get my SIM card out or to get any of my apps activated. I literally had to go the painful way of like accessing, getting the apps, going back and, you know, downloading the Authenticator app and reaching out to people that you're reaching out to those, platforms to get my access back. It was just, I'm telling you, it's stressful. Any of you that can, when your phone goes kaput, you're like, Jesus Christ, because you feel like your whole life is in that phone.
Yeah.
So that's what happened to me. It was stuck on, I own a Samsung Galaxy. Al and I bought the same phone at the same time, same deal. I didn't pay for anything. So I'm like, this phone is like, it can't, I just purchased it 18 months ago. This doesn't make any sense. It was stuck on the black screen. I've had a long day. I'm tired now. It's 5:15. Like, what am I going to do? I went to the phone company, and phone company's like, we can't do anything for you. Do you have warranty? You know, the one time I didn't buy warranty and, you know, and I'm like, okay, I didn't think I needed the warranty. This phone is relatively new. Long story short, I went back to this phone repair place that told me 18 months ago, your phone is just crap. Just go buy another phone. They were honest. And they said, we're not even going to replace it. Like, they didn't even charge me for looking at the phone. So I went, and here we go. So apparently my phone is back in business now, yay, but my motherboard went on my phone. Okay. So I wanted to just kind of, bring this to everyone's attention. And so pay attention to your phone. When I got this phone, within the first 12 months, it was kind of being a little wonky. I thought it was maybe my battery. It was kind of turning off and on. And I just thought nothing, like I didn't think anything of it. So apparently what the gentleman at the repair store said, I'm going to just kind of take my phone out. So just to give you a hack or just to be aware when you're purchasing something. So when you're going and purchasing phones now, you see how this is plastic? So anytime you're purchasing phones, he goes, be careful if the hardware, the exterior is plastic, you're going to have more issues apparently with the motherboard or heating. Probably. He's like, try and buy or purchase a phone next time if you go with Samsung again, like a harder case, it protects the motherboard. So I don't know, but I'm telling you in that first hour that the phone was gone, I wasn't panicking because I do have a work phone so I could reach everybody. But what the kicker was, and this is what I thought was funny, put this away, is that I thought in that one hour that they had to fix the phone, I was at the repair shop and I said, listen, I live a bit of a distance. I'm just going to wait while you fix the phone. That entire time, I made it seem like I was so important. I was like, watch, you know, if the phone magically, knock on wood, if it turns on, my WhatsApp is going to be blown up. My YouTube's going to take off. My IG's be like, oh my God, so many followers. He luckily, bless this man, he fixed my phone. I had not one message and not one missed phone call. As you can tell, we're taping here, so we didn't blow up. Nothing happened in that 1 hour. No, I was insignificant. And that's when I just realized that's what life is like.
Yeah, we're
all just insignificant. And we are so bounded by our phones. And I didn't care so much about too much about the messages stuff. I was more concerned about like downloading and re-uploading these apps, my password, the cloud, and just the fiasco of when you have to transfer all of your data into a new phone. But lo and behold, I got checked by the universe. Wasn't that important? I wasn't that important after all.
We're forgotten in 4 generations. Yep.
Yeah, so that was my interesting week, but I got the phone fixed and I came back and all was well.
And I hope I forget this long ass
Me
boring
too.
story.
I was thinking the same thing.
It
I
was
was
like
like,
an
Hey,
ordeal.
somebody turned this podcast into a snooze fest.
yeah.
Hey, it's the real. That's what happened this week. All happened in one day.
That's a good story you should tell children when you're trying to put them to bed. Yeah. Very good
This
story.
is what
to
happened.
put
Okay,
them
but
to sleep.
we have a good segment to talk about today.
All right, let's do it.
Today is a good subject. I think it's timely. It is the first quarter of the new year. We know a lot of our 13 to 17 generation listen to us. We also know the 18 to 24 generation listen to us. So I think this subject is quite timely. If you're trying to figure out whether you should attend post-secondary, what you want to do with your life, 3 of us have all been there to try and figure out, like, what do we really want to do? Do we want to go get our MBA? Do we want to go get our degree? Is it worth it? Or do we go to a trade school? So today's episode, very timely, and I think it's very relevant, is Do you really need to go to university or college? And if so, why? Let's talk about it.
All right.
Okay. Let's go to you, Al. Let's go to you because I know you went to a trade school similar to me.
Yep.
Why did you decide to go to a trade school after high school? Or did you, when you were in high school, did you know what you wanted to, kind of what field you wanted to go into?
I just assumed I'd go into something computer related because I was good at computers. I'd built my own computer and I liked how it operated. I liked the nature of it. But when you're at like 18, 19, you really don't know exactly what you want to do. So you kind of just follow along and say, yeah, this is what people are getting into IT. And it made sense at the time. But I didn't like school. I'm not a big fan of school. So I thought, okay, I can't do 4 years in school. I just knew this is not going to be, I won't be able to do it. So I went to BCIT, which is actually a well-established, a reputable, I guess we call it technical university
It's
here.
called British Columbia Institute of Technology.
Yeah. So they call it a college, but it's like a technical college here. And I did 2 years there, did wireless communications technology and learned how we create and propagate wireless signals. Most of the job was to go, my first internship was with a company that does radio technology. So how we communicate from the radios and how like all the first responders, everything in their car, what they use. So the first job was I had to go with a gentleman in a Hummer and we had to go up Sumas Mountain because they call it the repeater, which is the main antenna at the top that sends a signal down. And we went on a day when it was cloudy. And there's a gatekeeper at the mountain. So because there's a separate service road that takes you to the top. And the service road is literally probably like 8 feet wide, just enough for the car just to fit on there. So it took us about 40 minutes to get up the mountain. I'm sitting in the passenger seat. I'm looking over and I'm literally on the side of the cliff. And we're going to the top. And once we get up there, it's like -5 degrees at the top there. So we go up there, we're in this little mini shed that they've built for the house, like computer electronics. And we're trying to solder things and fix things. And then we're shivering while we're doing it. So then we get a call on the radio saying, oh, it's starting to rain. You guys got 20 minutes to finish up your stuff and you start working your way down because when it starts raining, the mountain gets wet and the road gets wet and it becomes dangerous to come down the mountain again. Mm-hmm. So as we're coming down, you can literally see the road falling apart now as we're driving back down. And then I talked to him. I was like, so how often do you have to do this? He's like, all the time, man. He's like, this is the nature of this kind of work. He's like, our repeaters are always on the top of a hill or a mountain. That's what you have to go and do. He's like, next week we're going to be going on this like Grouse Mountain to get up there. And that's when I realized this is not what I'm going to be doing with my life. I was like, not for $17 an hour. So after that, I went into basically just IT related stuff. I knew that was indoors in a computer and you can work from anywhere. But after a while, I found that I was not passionate about it. It just paid really well, and I just stuck with it like every other human being. When someone pays you well, you just keep going, and then you figure out and you hit a brick wall at some point in your life and say, this is not what I want to do. Mm-hmm. But I do recommend college or university to some people because I think about it now. If I want to leave here or anywhere I want to go, that place from BCIT, that diploma that I have, gets me the interview right off the bat.
Mm-hmm. So you're a pro. Go to school. Go to Go to post-secondary.
Yeah, because I think most people are still trying to figure out what they want to do. At least if you go put in a couple of years and you come back with this piece of paper, unfortunately in the corporate world, that piece of paper is what matters because they say, okay, you know a baseline level of things. Yeah. And if you went to this school, we know how hard they are because it was 70% passing on each level in each course that you had to take. So you got to know your shit. So I thank God for that because if it wasn't for that, I would be having to go back to work elsewhere for a job that I don't know what they'll pay and you're going to be entry level.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Rose, what about you? What are your thoughts? Ups and downs of going to college when it comes to your career and personal growth.
I think it's totally different today. Like if you'd asked me that question 20 years ago when I was coming out of high school, I would have had a different response than today. And the world is so different. So I think for kids, if you're graduating high school, I do think you should go to college. And even if you don't know what you're doing, like if you don't have any clue, try every class. Like I wish I took an arts class, sociology, humanities, criminology, every like biology, and I did do that. So try taking everything and then see what you like. I flunked at chemistry. And I was like, okay, so that's not for me. I actually did well in kinesiology, surprisingly. And I did really, really good in sociology. So that's how I kind of was able to hone in on what I wanted to do. So I would say go to college, take as many courses as you can. And then the other aspect is the social aspect. Like you'll make new friends. Like maybe after high school, they weren't really your friends, or there were some issues that you were thinking once I'm out of high school, I wouldn't, hang out with these people. Make new friends and make a new group of people that you can then build a network with. So if you think about a lot of these like Mark Zuckerbergs of the world, when they went to college, they made friends with those people and they're offered them jobs 10 years, 20 years later. So I see the benefit of the social aspect of going to college and then just trying out every course and seeing what you really want to do. Like especially if you're not sure, if you don't limit yourself, just take every first year level course. And then after that, decide, hey, what course did I really, really enjoy the most? And then you'll kind of hone in on something there.
That's a good one, Rose. You don't realize the networking that turns into connections after when you graduate.
Yep.
For me, I'm a big believer in education. And I'm a little biased. If you're of a visible minority, go to school.
Yes.
Go to school.
You have to.
You have to. And I'll tell you this, honestly, we have to compete with the Caucasian folks. And if they've got their MBA, I'll tell you right off the bat, we're competing with their skin color, because right off the bat, you have to fight for that. So if you come with credentials and certifications and you can level up, at least you stand a chance to get an interview. I'm not going to say you're going to get the job, but it just brings awareness now. Hey, listen, I've got a shot at this. So I'm a big believer. If you're of a visible minority, please find the means. And if you have to take a student loan, another thing that I will tell you is there are a lot of companies there that will actually pay for your school. I've taken advantage of that. When you've worked for companies, sometimes you have to stay there for a few years so you don't have to pay back the money. But if you're not sure what you want to do and if funds are tight, just take some courses like Rose said. And that's the best thing that I would say. I know a lot of students just go, I'm pursuing a degree in this field, or I'm taking a bachelor's degree here. A lot of times when you graduate from those programs, those degrees are sometimes even useless. I would advise you to take courses. Just go and take a course. Don't worry about what your parents say. And feel out what it is that you might realize that you actually really rock in law, you rock in criminology, in some other aspects than what you decided to do instead of communications or something. So take courses, and when they have those co-op opportunities, go find those companies and research the companies where they do have some sort of like tuition reimbursement program where, hey, if I eventually, if my co-op materializes into a placement with this company, I have the potential to get my degree paid for. So that's my take on that. But if you are of a visible minority and you're listening to us, and if you do have young children, please, I will tell you right now, enforce education and make sure they go to school. They get just even a baseline degree and aim higher. Go for the master's. Go for, if they can do the PhD, if the program needs it. So I'm a big believer in school. That's what I'm going to say about that.
I agree. And especially if you're a woman, like, in the Indian community, we don't push women. Well, now they do. They didn't push women to go to school. I didn't get my bachelor's degree until I was 30 because I was told you're just going to get married and have kids. What's the point? So I really took a few courses at colleges, and then I didn't even get my diploma until I got serious in my late 20s. So I say at least just go and get your bachelor's. And today a bachelor's degree is not 4 years anymore. People can finish it in America in 2 years now.
Mm-hmm. I went to a trade school when I graduated after high school. Funny enough, I actually wanted to go into law when I was in high school. I don't know why I had this passion towards wanting to go to law. And at the time, I didn't know the terminology. So I wanted to be what's the term? I'm trying to think of it now. How do I say it? Human rights lawyer. I wanted to advocate for those that didn't have a voice. And I think I said this on a previous episode, the O.J. Simpson trial was on, and my dad thought I was going to, just defend bad people, and he kept shutting it down. But that was ultimately my passion, and somehow I decided to end up going towards broadcasting. I'm like, well, if I can't defend people, maybe I can tell their stories. Right. And so when I went to BCIT, like Alvin, it is a trade school, it's a technical school. I learned how to operate a camera, how to talk in front of a camera, and there were no degree programs at that time because you don't really need a degree to know how to speak in front of a camera. It was all just specialized, how to hook a camera, a microphone, all the technical aspects. And I too, like Rose, didn't go back to school to get my degree in my late 30s and 40s, believe it or not. It was a lifelong dream that I was like, damn it, I should have finished it off in my 20s, and I didn't. And I went and did a business certificate. So I also have my graduate certificate. I don't know if I have juice left in me to go do my full, probably 10 more courses to do my master's or an MBA program, but the sky's the limit. So if you're older and people tell you, no, you're a stay-at-home mom, or you're a housewife, or you don't need to do that. If it's something that you're passionate about and it's been bothering you, like for me, it was bothering me that I never went and completed my degree, just go and do it. I went back, and I'm very proud to say I graduated with a distinction.
Good for you.
While I worked full time, and my course load was anywhere between 2 to 3 classes each semester.
Yeah, I don't know how you did that.
Took me 4 years, but I did it. And
I
did
did it with school, but I was younger than her. And I also made sure, I was like, okay, the two biggest universities in Canada, or in Vancouver, Canada at the time, was UBC and Simon Fraser University. And I was like, okay, yeah, I'm not going to commute all the way to UBC because that was never all the way in Vancouver. So I went to SFU because I thought if I'm going to get my degree, I may as well make sure I get it from a reputable school if I'm going to put in all of it in. I don't know how much a sociology degree served me. I do know now more than ever that I really do like sociology. Like I find my way always towards that. But yeah, I would never have traded it for the world. I'm glad I completed it.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
What's your advice to those parents and those students? Because we know the cost is costly to go to school. A lot of parents here in North America, I don't know what it's like in the East, but I'm sure there's some sort of a registered education savings plan where you put money into it. The government matches it. So to our parents that are listening right now that have young kids and that are contemplating on sending them to university, or or they don't have an RESP, should they take a loan? What should they do?
Yeah. I mean, I think when you're that young, you got ample time to pay it back. Also, maybe really think it through, because I was speaking to my new boss, and he was saying that he's in Canada, and he was saying that to get a bachelor's degree at the University of Toronto now is $100,000.
Just to get a basic
bachelor's degree. And I was like, oh my God, like that's insane for kids. And you come out, you're not making 100,000, you come out making 40, 50,000. So I would say to maybe not go to a university like that, maybe go to a community college to start with, just figuring out what courses you want to take to begin with. The world is so different today. I mean, I always call YouTube University because it really is a platform for learning. So if you're thinking funds are tight and I don't really want to put my kid in a bunch of courses, go on YouTube, and you can actually go on like programs that, like, I think Jordan Peterson, when he used to teach, all his classes now are on YouTube. You can go watch some of his old classes. So you can go, and same with MIT, they do a lot of their cryptocurrencies classes that they did in 2018, 2019. Maybe they're a little bit, a couple of years behind, but it'll give you an idea if that's something you're interested in. So there's a lot of avenues. Coursera, there's a lot of courses that they offer there. There's a lot of different things, especially with the world of AI now. I would say to really, if you're not sure, think about AI. That is gonna take over and be the next internet wave. So there's so many things that you can do before getting yourself into a big bang level of debt.
AI or any job related to coding, or or courses for coding, I would recommend that.
Yeah. Well, AI is going to start coding, so I don't even think you're going to need coders anymore. That's another one I just saw.
Oh my goodness.
So really understanding machine learning, artificial intelligence. There's a lot of courses online. MIT offers them. I've considered that myself. Is you don't necessarily have to be a coder to understand, but if you're in that, that's going to give you. If you're in computer science, it'll give you a broader. But if you're someone like me that's in business and just wants to have a better understanding, that's also out there too.
Yeah. Good stuff. And I think you're right, because when I look back now, when I finished school and I look back how much my program costed me, and I was fortunate, I had my employer pay the full tuition for me. I just had to pay for the textbooks. It's expensive. And I'm looking now, it's only going to get more expensive with time. And the other thing is, I was reading somewhere along the line, I read this article that they're saying that the next generation doesn't have the attention span for degrees anymore because of, just the distractions with the digital devices, their attention span. And honestly, when I look back at it now, I don't even know how I went through university, because I had a full-time job. I had distraction. I had my phone, and I was in relationships. We've got commitments with family. We have aging parents, all of these things coming at you. And I was like, man, how did I have that attention span and focus? You're right.
You were determined.
But I think there's something about this next generation. They're savvy. They're smart. And I'll tell you something. I've been observing some of these young kids at work. And I'll tell you right now, I don't even know if they need a full-time degree, but they're smart. I'm learning from them. And you know what I'm learning from them is that this next generation, they don't put up with bullshit like our generation. They quit. They tell our bosses to screw you. They don't show up sometimes. They take their mental health leave when things are stressful. They just say, I'm not doing this. And I like that about them, because there's been so many times where I've just taken the bullshit, I've eaten the bullshit, and at times I still continue to eat the bullshit.
But I'm going to counter that, because that's great in your 20s, because life is not stressful in your 20s and up until your 30s. After 35, 40, it starts to get, and if you don't have resilience, the reason that you are able to take on as much as you can is because of all the Angie always says line, let's go eat shit from our boss. Like, you know, we built resilience. And I think that's why we're so strong in our late 30s, early 40s is because of that. So my worry is like, yeah, that's great that we're like, yeah, don't take shit from me. But what happens when you get older and you're like, I don't have the tools. I don't have the resilience. Like resilience is probably one of the toughest tools, greatest tools to have in your tool belt.
Right.
Like among all the tools, I would say that resilience is definitely a great tool to have in your belt.
Yeah.
You have to have that, because when I hear that, this generation doesn't put up with shit, the problem is though, there's a big wide range of what your version of putting up with shit is. This generation, like anything goes a little tough or it's a little tight on their schedule, they just want to say, no, it's going to affect my mental health. Everybody's mental health gets affected at some point, but you have to put up with some things, because if you're responsible for a certain task or you're part of a entire team of people that needs to get this production done, we're counting on you.
Right.
And guess what? Everybody around you is probably putting in the same hours, doing the same shit. We need you to keep up your end of the bargain. But if you find that this person or this one or two people, this generation keeps giving up, that attitude can only carry you for so long. Right. How many companies are you going to go to before you have no longer any references that say, oh yeah, this person they'll do the work and they can withstand the pressure. Right. If you can't withstand the pressure, guess what? Every work environment you go to has pressure. Yep. It's just the nature of the game. The work is always going to be there. It's up to you to say, how much can I take and how much can I put up with? Yep. But I do find this younger generation is, and I'm a little bit a part of that too, is that you get stressed out easily, and it's up to you to say, oh, am I going to put up with this, or it is what it is, or I'm just going to walk off. Look, for me, I have too much integrity to just walk off. I'd rather sit there and bite my nail and get through the work, and after that, and say, okay, now I got time to relax. But in the moment, I don't want to sit there and complain.
And I'm glad that you brought that up on that. We've never walked off. But I work in sports and entertainment, and I work in big arenas, and I cannot tell you how many times I've heard from our operators, they'll walk off the shift, and I was like, no, they walk off in the middle of the shift. If they're overwhelmed at the halftime, and I understand there's a lot of drunk people, whatnot, they will walk off the shift. And it's not even an age thing.
But when you have talking about high volume frontline workers, that's a complete different mindset compared to people who are educated, working in like a skilled environment, and they can't put up with the stress.
Well, no, because I'm thinking like in my 20s, I was in a very high volume front face. I was a bank teller in my early 20s, and I worked at a branch where it was nonstop. The moment the door opened until the door closed, it was every day. But the thought of walking off my shift never occurred to me. I wouldn't dare. I mean, I was exhausted and tired after and frustrated, but I would never even dare to think to walk off.
Again, but if you're working at a stadium and you're dealing with kind of drunk people and they're getting more drunk by halftime, and you look at it as like, how much are they paying me? Is this worth my time? There's no repercussions of that person walking off the job. It's not like they're not going to get a job at the next place. But if someone in your position, let's say you're working for a company and you're thinking, oh, this is very, very stressful, I can't handle this. Yeah, you're going to try to make some adjustments. And if you find that, this keeps happening to you and you just decide to keep walking off, you're a professional person. You have your degree, you're skilled labor, not skilled labor, you're skilled employee. How many places can you go and keep doing that at before all the companies are talking about and say, oh yeah, Rose can't handle stress. Like as soon as we have a project and we give her another project that's beyond her workload, she walks off.
Right.
Everyone communicates with everybody depending on your
environment.
You know what,
I'll tell you, my very first project when I started the company, they gave me, apparently, I wasn't told till after, like, this is a project we give to somebody 2 years in the company. They gave it to me, my brand new. And I was like, I remember feeling like, I can't do this. But I did it. And my boss after, he was like, you were either going to sink or swim. And I can tell you, that was the scariest, biggest project I ever had. But I was able to swim. And it made me so much stronger. So then after that, I was able to handle more. My threshold for handling things got much better. Yeah.
I found in a lot of work environments, myself, let's say you got so much work here to do, and they're going to say, can you do some overtime? Obviously, you're going to voice your 2 cents if you feel like you can't do it today. But you know that if I don't do this, my friend or my other coworker, they have to pick up the slack. Now, I'm letting them down too by saying, oh, I can't handle this workload. I would say you go through it, and then when it keeps happening, you look back and say, okay, is this the right environment for me? You can't keep blaming the nature of the place. You say, maybe this is the nature of the environment. I got to get out of it. That's why I want to get out of IT, because it's just constantly changing. By the time you've taken a certificate and upgraded your skills, guess what? There's a new version that's got, and you're thinking, this is too fast for me. This is too fast for any human being. Time for me to tap out.
And that's actually a good point.
Yeah.
I want to add to that, Fears. If you are thinking of getting to IT, because I'm actually going to be doing a mentoring program with some girls from high school that are wanting to get into IT after high school. And I think that's something that no one tells you. It's very fast. I'm not joking. It's fast. And one of those things where like Al stepped out of it and I'm thinking maybe I should take a break from IT. But my fear is like if I come back and I'm going to be so lost. So that's why I'm so afraid to leave IT, because the change that happens is so rapid. And I'm like, I don't think the human brain was designed for this level of speed.
The younger generation can adapt quicker, but I recommend it to the younger generation because let's say you spend so a certain amount on your education. When you come out and if you go into IT, they will start you off right off the bat at $60,000, $70,000.
Yeah.
And within a few years, you could be making $100,000
Over that.
and over that, and especially in the States, and you could pay back all your loan. You could save a lot of money in 5 to 10 years. And after that, once you have a good chunk of change, then you can decide what I want to do. But there is a give and take where you're gonna have to suck it up for a little while and say I gotta. But one bonus is almost every job in IT you can work from anywhere.
Yeah.
As long as you got internet. As long as you got
I'm
internet.
remote, so something to
As
think
long as you have
about.
internet, you can work from anywhere.
Yeah.
Al, going back to what you were saying with the younger generation, you know, the resiliency and the toughness and to have grit. I just remember this thing, but I couldn't remember how I used to say it, so I had to Google it out. You know, there's that saying, when the going gets tough, people get going.
Yep.
You don't want to be that type of person. You do want to build resiliency, especially for the younger generation. Now, in closing, there's so much more that I actually had written, but I think we've kind of narrowed down like why you should probably go to university, especially if you're a visible minority and you're a female. You should definitely put emphasis, find a means, find a way. The other thing, piece of advice that I'm going to give you is that if you're on the fence about what program you want to take or what you want to do, I'm telling you right now, I encourage a lot of the co-op students that come into my organization. I've told them now, you know, they're taking courses or they're reluctantly in degree programs only because their parents said, you got to have a degree. And, you know, they want to compare my son's doing this and your son's doing this. What I would advise you is reach out to organizations that interest you. So if you're interested in sports entertainment, like let's say here we have a company called, what is that one that makes, is it
EA Sports?
EA Sports, and you're interested in gaming and coding or animation, give them a call. And I can tell you right now, a lot of times people are so gracious, you can shadow someone. So I would advise you, if you're in high school and, you know, you've graduated and, you know, you don't know what you want to go into, what field, and your mom and dad are harping on you, get a summer job, do something. Reach out to companies, like even if it's law. I wish I had done some of those things during that time. Reach out to a lawyer. Reach out to, you know, if you want to go into real estate, if you want to go be, if you want a trades job, reach out to a company that does apprenticeships. Reach out to anyone and everyone and spend a day with them. So what? You might not get paid for that day, but the only thing that you lost is a little bit of time. But you'll probably walk away and realize, you know, I don't think I want to be a game animator. I don't think I want to code a game. I don't know if I want to be a lawyer, but I can tell you that's the best way for you to start to figure out what do you want to hone into, and then spend the money and say to your parents, you know what? I spent the summer shadowing a bunch of people, 5-6 different jobs. I think I really want to go to school for this. And that's the best way. And you're probably going to be passionate about that subject and that field.
I want to add, because Anne said you feel like you're not going to get paid, but you're going to learn so much about yourself when you're there. You're going to realize, is this for me or it's not for me? So don't look at it as that you won't get paid. You will discover so much about yourself when you're in that intern and discovering things that, hey, this is what I really like. This is what I don't like. And this is why we're saying we wish we did that before.
Yeah. And we've got this platform now to educate you and to help you. And listen, things don't always have to be that conventional approach. We know your parents are probably harping on you, or if you're a parent, you're probably harping on your son, go pick a field, or like how my parents always did to Alvin, go into IT. And he's like, I did not want to go into IT. So, you know, have that conversation with your parents or with, you know, your children, and start maybe paying attention to them. Maybe you already have, and you're like, my son's really good. He's a critical thinker. He's got really good analytical skills. He's a really good problem solver. Hey, maybe he should be an engineer. But take the time, because the sky's the limit for this generation. And like I said, you don't have to put a ton of money into university. If you go and let's say you shadow a company and they see your potential, they'll probably pay for your apprenticeship or your schooling, or, you know, some level of you going to school and say, hey, you know what, we'll keep you on board, or we'll offer you a job if you go to school. So just be smart and creative. I know that this next generation you've got access to the internet. We had Encyclopedia Britannica when I was Because
Yeah.
growing up, we had to go to the library. Yeah. We didn't have all these
They
luxuries.
have ChatGPT now. You're set.
Oh, yes. So you can figure out the world is your oyster. And so we just wanted to bring this this subject to attention. It's a shorter episode, but if you want us to come back and talk about anything more or share our perspective, we're more than willing to do that. So until next week, friends and family, please take care of yourself. Don't forget to check us out on all of our social channels, and specifically right now, because if you're watching us on YouTube, but to all, shout out to Spotify listeners, but to YouTube, holy Hannah, thank you so much for the amazing growth. We've hit the 400 mark. Wow. 3 of us, when we started off this journey, lo and behold, we didn't even think about that. I was thinking of 100 subscribers and friends. So just much love to you. Thank you for giving us the juice every week to show up and continue doing what we're doing. And we're having so much fun. So until next week, please take care of yourself. We are signing off. It's a Tribe Called Dhillon podcast. Bye for now.
Bye-bye.
See ya. And don't forget, send Shiba Inu to the moon.